Hey everyone, Damon here. I just wanted to get a couple of quick notes before getting into the main review. Just some disclaimers. I was having significant technical issues for this episode, and it almost got scrapped because there was a significant chunk of my commentary that was missing from the program that I use for this. And luckily, I was able to get them from backups. The video quality is not as great because I was lagging throughout the entire recording. So the video is not very good. I'm going to appear very blurry at times, but the audio is fine. It's good, and luckily that was saved, which is the most important part of it. And I tried to edit everything and splice everything together pretty much the best that I could do. So we got a good episode anyway. So I wanted to say that. And second of all, as if you've seen this episode, you know that there is a 2-minute scene in this episode with a character dealing with their identity as a non-binary person, and there's a good conversation going with that. We have our views on that, and so I just wanted to put it out there that a reminder that Quantum Leap has always been a show about experiencing life through someone else's shoes and their life, and civil discussion, of course, is welcome. I definitely want to remind everybody to please keep the conversation civil, because intolerance, bigotry, hatred is just not welcome here. So please just keep that in mind when you watch this, and your comments, they can be critical as long as they're not coming from a place of hate, because that's just not welcome here. So with that being said, we had a really good discussion, and I'm glad we were able to save it. So without further ado, here's our review. Hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, this is Fandom Entanglement Quantum Leap. I am Damon Sugamelli. These are my co-hosts, Mike Bloxam.
Howdy.
Ryan Green.
Hello again.
MJ Cogburn.
Hello.
Hello. And joining us, a special guest, Jan Fennick. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you, Damon, and hi everybody else. Nice of you to invite me to enjoy your. Yeah, try that again. Thank you so much for inviting me to join your little soiree here and talk about Quantum Leap.
Yeah, so I was communicating with you because you were guest co-host on the Quantum Leap podcast last year. I think it was the episode before I guested on it, and I know you were a friend of Matt Dale's. So I wanted to give us a little bit of information on what you do in your spare time, or and all this other stuff that's going on with you.
I'm a freelance writer. Mostly I write about popular culture. I've got essays in every single edition of Outside In, which is available from ATB Publications in Maryland, which basically takes an entire series of a TV show. Every episode of that TV show is then analyzed by a different person. And so, there's like 150 to 180 authors per book. And Quantum Leap is actually somewhere in the future. We haven't been given the official word yet, but there's that. I co-author with 5 other people on Red, White, and Who, which is the definitive book on the story of Doctor Who in America, the only book on American fandom and how it kind of came here, etc. I have essays in a couple of other books, including The Starman and Me, which is about personal essays about David Bowie. And I've been a writer I used to be a journalist. I used to write doll and toy publications, and have 3 books on Barbie collecting, which has suddenly become really important in the past year because of the Barbie movie. Which, and I'm an e-tailer. I still sell dolls and toys on eBay. So that's about it. And I've been a Quantum Leap fan since I know exactly it was Memorial Day weekend of 1989, because my late best friend and I were at a friend's wedding, and she kept talking about the show and kept telling me how much I would love it. And by the time I got back, it was like, I think when they were doing the reruns of first part of season 1, and I came in, I want to say somewhere around Peggy Sue, and just absolutely fell in love with the show, fell in love with Scott Bakula, Dean Stockwell, and the rest is history. And like I had mentioned, we actually used to publish and edit Quantum Leap fanzine called I've Leaped and I Can't Get Up, which was specifically Sam's stupidest leaps ever. That was in the early 90s. And unfortunately, I was trying to push Matt Dale to write about the fanzine phenomenon in his book that now is on hiatus, Behind the Mirror Volume 3, because I knew a lot of people who were Quantum Leap fan fiction writers, and also just, so there was a lot of love and a lot of like really strong fandom there that I thought should be celebrated. So hopefully someday somebody will tackle that corner of Quantum Leap fandom.
Very cool.
Right. Awesome.
So I also work for several conventions, Doctor Who and Star Trek out in New York and also Los Angeles. So.
Okay.
That's so cool.
That is amazing.
Well, I'm glad to have you here.
Where do you find the time to do all that?
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I'm a full-time caregiver, but that's another story.
All right. Well, anyway, we are talking about Quantum Leap Season 2, Episode 10, The Family Treasure. This originally aired February 6th, 2024. A cursed treasure hunt draws Ben to Mexico in 1953, putting him between two estranged siblings struggling with their late father's legacy. As they navigate a series of lethal obstacles, Ben finds the real challenge lies in repairing this broken family's bond. So we have most of our regular cast: Raymond Lee as Dr. Ben Song, Caitlin Bassett as Addison Augustine, Mason Alexander Park as Ian Wright, Narissa Lee as Jen Chu, Peter Gadillo as Tom Westfall, and Ernie Hudson as Herbert. Magic Williams, our guest cast, we have Alice Krummelberg is back as Rachel. Feel like we haven't seen her in a minute, although that's also because it's been off the air. James Frain as Gideon Rydge. We're gonna get back to him. Yeah, we're gonna get back to him. I don't know how Dan Bakadal. I don't even know how to pronounce that name.
Bakadal.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's
pretty close.
I was looking him up last night because I was like, where did I see him before? And he's got a huge resume, but he was also correspondent for The Daily Show about 20 years ago. And early on, I was like, oh yeah, and I knew his face looked really familiar. So
Okay.
Yeah, he is Mr. Wells, aka Evil Lawyer. Wilder Yari as Dean/Dina Malik. Holly Bahar as Sarah, and Keon Alexander as Ricardo. And he had a last name, but he talked really fast, so I didn't catch it. It sounded like Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah, I caught it. I caught
I
it.
didn't catch
Where
it
is
either.
it?
And he wasn't on really that long that we, it was integral to the plot anyway.
Ricardo Badigan.
Yeah, I thought he said it was like Ricardo Montalban.
Badigan.
It was so fast. I'm like, I was like, wait, he did not say that. No. Written by.
How would you spell that?
Maybe he did.
Oh, I don't know. Written by.
How would you spell Badigan?
Badigan?
Yeah. How did you spell that?
Batigan.
Oh, okay. Like Badigan. Okay.
Because you need that. Because you need that for your page.
Badigan.
This episode was written by Shakina, who wrote and co-directed Let Them Play, directed by Jude Weng. She directed Ben Interrupted, which is, I think, one of my favorite episodes. As it said in the synopsis, the leap date's 1953, and I don't think that was even mentioned in the episode itself.
No.
Not that I can tell.
No,
It
it's
was
only
not.
the synopsis, because I've seen that it's mentioned on IMDb, etc. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could have mentioned it in the will, but I doubt that he would have known the day that he would have died. So
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then on a newspaper somewhere, or mentioned
I know,
on radio.
I know.
Yeah, and sometimes Addison will say, like, so and so, and it's this year, and this is where you are. And I don't think she mentioned the date there either.
No, I don't
The
think so.
observer could say these things.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben has leaped into Nadia Malik. Okay, first impressions. Jan, you go since you are a guest.
For the overall episode, or just starting at the beginning?
Just like a first, well, just overall what you thought, and then we'll get into like a little bit of the.
Yeah, I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was not one of my favorite episodes. It just felt kind of, I guess, paint by the numbers, Indiana Jones, National Treasure, this and that, and then in the end, the real treasure was the family we found along the way. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. I mean, I liked the performances. I liked the interactions, but it didn't really seem to move the needle in any particular way for me in terms of a Quantum Leap episode. So, and it was there. it was an episode.
I like that, the family we met along the way. I like that one.
Well, it's true.
Family we met along the way.
I like that. Okay, Mike, I guess. Yeah. You want to go, Mike?
I'm not going to say much different from what Jan just said. Honestly, it was good. It wasn't great. I did enjoy the performances. I thought the acting was really, really well done. The score was fantastic. It really did match what they were going for with the story. It's just
Totally
the
did.
story was, yeah. I just felt it was a generic plot that could have been any show, really. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of Quantum Leap in the episode, if I can put it that way. I would like to have seen Addison been a bit more use, as opposed to saying, "Oh, it must have caved in. This tunnel goes on for 2 more miles." Well, why don't you go through that cave in and see if it does go on for 2 more miles? Like, that's what the holograms are supposed to be able to do. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the highlight for me was they had the teaching moment about Dean and their identity without like bludgeoning us or doing a PSA style statement about it. It was well done. That was nice.
Yeah.
Can I just add, for me, it felt like the episode stopped a little bit. It wasn't horrible, but it did feel like we had, instead of it being, Dim and I talked about it last night, it didn't feel like it was really organic. Like we got little bits during the whole story. It suddenly stopped and we got, this is what's going on, and then went back. But it wasn't terrible, and I'm glad, I picked it up. I personally picked it up initially when she said no, or sorry, they said their name was Dean, in the will reading, but we kind of dropped that plot and then got to the end. But yeah.
All right, Brian.
I'm going to be a little different because I like nostalgic stuff. I love Indiana Jones. And so this was just my kind of thing. And it may not be for everybody, but I liked all the little things. I loved the map. I thought that was incredible. They like to throw in things from other movies here lately. So I've been thinking that's pretty cool. But the performances were great. I liked all the actors and everything. James Frain at the end. Fantastic choice for the character that I, hadn't envisioned but do now. And and Jan, you're right about that. With the part with the non-binary teaching there, it was great, but it did kind of just halt everything for a minute and then went back to the action. So a little strange to do it like that, but I thought it was good for the characters, but also good for, I'll even say, for our fandom. Because if you look online, you see a lot of stuff. People just don't know what they're, really talking about, and, comparing it to other issues like transgender or, lesbian, gay, whatever you want to call it. This is a totally different thing. So you can't compare. It's not like Let Them Play. That's a whole different thing. And, Ian is non-binary. So this was a good teaching point for the viewers and the characters. So I did kind of like that, how they did it in that fashion. Everything else, I thought it was fun. I didn't look too much into it. There weren't a lot of glaring mistakes. Aside from, I'll say that when they dropped the rock, that took 3 seconds to fall, which would have been like, I don't know, 144 feet, I think I figured up. And it looked more like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
So, just little technical things.
Let's just say what? You're supposed to say that at the end.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I should have said that one.
That's
But
okay.
no, I did like it. So, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, MJ, I know you always go last, but
This was the first episode that I really liked. Shocking. I know.
Hey!
shocking.
I know. After I decimated the witches one.
Oh, yeah.
Glad I wasn't on there because I would have agreed with you.
It was just bad.
Mhm.
I liked it all, actually. I loved the little dropping of the pieces to find the map. I like just about every piece of it, even the little educational moment. The thing that just totally blindsided me, though, about the whole episode is that Ian didn't have on his glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Or, excuse me,
Their
their
glasses.
glasses. So
I know. We try
it
to.
kept
we always try
kind
to
of
remember that.
going. I was like,
Mhm.
there's something off about this episode.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Is
Oh,
that
that's
he
what my
didn't
wife
have,
kept saying too.
they
And
didn't have on
and I
their
said-
glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I completely missed that. So good
Yeah.
observation.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned the witches, I ranted by myself because I'm a big fan of history and the Salem witch trials and stuff. In that episode,
Me too.
The history, and also because I'm in New York, but I go up to New England a lot. It's like that everything was like so wrong about that episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just way.
Well,
way,
see,
way,
I
way,
had
way.
to teach that the Salem witch trials to special ed students, so I had to break it down into segments that they could understand it well. And we talked about everything, and so when they were talking about, I just massacred that episode.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I think that was probably like the low point of
It's
the
the
season so
episode
far.
that
Yeah.
shall not be named from now on.
Yeah, that has how we've been referring to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't even say what my first impressions are. Most of it's pretty much the same. Like I said, it did seem a little too reminiscent of Indiana Jones, like with the map. It's like I'm thinking like the dun, 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 just the whole thing going across. But it was a decent episode. I did like it. I'm not sure if it was one of my favorites, like you said. Feel like we've been there, done that. And it was only a few episodes ago with Secret History that we had something very similar. So it's like, really, we're doing this so soon. What I will say when I first saw the casting notices going out, with the whole, and there was another Shakina Penn story. I did feel a little trepidation because the backlash that episode got, and luckily this didn't feel so overtly in our face. So that is what the point that we're saying that we're like that whole 2-minute scene, which I guess we'll get back to in a minute. Yeah, it didn't feel it didn't feel so what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it did feel like it was done well. So
It wasn't a down your throat.
Yeah, it didn't seem preachy.
No, it didn't.
Right. I guess let's just go over the points quick. It basically starts out Addison and Tom are now planning on eloping and getting married that same day, which
It's like
I was like, okay, that's really sudden.
Yeah, clearly set
And
up
then
for
he
failure.
asks her, I'm not rushing you, am I? Maybe a little. Maybe just a little.
Ian's line, wedding planning is my love language.
that was really great, but did they get to plan any weddings? No, they didn't even like sit down and say, well, what do you want to do? Let's do this now. Nothing. So
Yeah. I was watching thinking there's no way we actually see this happen in the last 2 minutes, because we got a story to tell, like chop. We didn't even get to the Leap story yet, and they're telling us this. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Rachel is back. And we finally find out the boss's name. So I don't think that this is what's his name from last week. I don't think it's.
We thought
Jeffrey.
that it was
I don't
going
think
to
it's
be
him.
Jeffrey Nally, and unless he changed his name to Gideon Rydge, maybe.
Could be.
But the one thing that
Possible.
Addison said after Ian said that wedding planning is my love language, she was like, if there is one thing I've learned in all of this, it's not to wait to live your life.
Right.
Okay.
Well, because she says this, and then by the end, because of all the things that Ben says throughout the episode, then she changes her mind. So that's the, and I think it was, we'll get to it, but I think I know what caused her to change her mind.
Okay. Well, we've said it too that Ian has not told Magic. Magic is going to be really pissed.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
I still don't understand how they
Beyond.
didn't say anything about this. It just there's so much going on. We have to get to the actual leap, because that's the whole premise of what Quantum Leap was about. Was we need a story to tell in this leap. Why don't you guys? I don't know if you want to. I think the thing with me with the leap story is, it seems so, like you said, it seems like such a generic story. So a lot of stuff didn't stand out to me necessarily about what they're searching for and everything, except the stuff that
I have it.
stood out. So
The Treasure of
Yeah.
San Patricio. The Cursed Jewels of St. Patrick's Cane. And Addison does tell him, you're Nadia Malik, you're 17 years old, and you've just graduated from finishing school. Your father, Celine Maddock, was a Lesbianese Christian who escaped Turkish persecution and immigrated here in the 1920s. Then he became a disgraced literature professor and spent the rest of his life chasing treasures across the Americas.
Right. And there was also the whole mythology about St. Patrick supposedly coming, and they thought he was Quetzalcoatl, and it got a little weird there. Yeah.
Yep.
What was
And
the name of it? Where they were? What was it? Dos
Estrellas.
Dos
Dos
Estrellas.
Estrellas.
Two stars.
In Mexico. Yeah.
No.
And according to the legend, this bearded white man arrived on the shores of Mexico in an Irish rowboat 1,500 years ago. And some say it was St. Patrick, but the Toltec believed that it was the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl. His theory was that the priest had stole the jewels, buried them as an offering to Quetzalcoatl to bring the water back. And there was no water.
Right.
Which is interesting.
So
I
they
did
are.
love
Yeah.
the clues that were left behind.
Yeah, all those like little puzzles and
Yeah, the bad puns.
yeah, the bad. Oh yeah, they were really bad puns. That's right.
I
Yeah.
stand
I like
on
the bad
Chris
puns.
Brown before.
Yeah, no, I thought that was good
concealed.
clues.
The Shamrock.
Oh yeah, the Shamrock.
Shamrock.
Well, because it starts out like they're reading. The lawyer is reading the Last Will and Testament, and then gives them all the stuff and gives them the little the ship, right? Like the ship in a bottle or whatever, and then
Right.
very conveniently knocks into Ben. Ben's holding it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when we start this whole thing.
Right, because the other one was a vase, and I've forgotten what the third piece was now.
In
Oh,
the
yeah,
in the
baseball
glove.
Mm-hmm.
In the baseball glove. There were two
Right.
pieces in the baseball glove.
Right.
Right.
And we find out later that he knocked him on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I found it strange that they were deciphering all this right in front of him. I thought, well, this guy's going to be up to no good later.
You see, and I have it on the notes. I really should have seen it coming with the lawyer, but I didn't.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I just didn't see it. So I was like,
I didn't either.
I caught it this time.
I
I don't know
did.
how, but I did.
I caught it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just felt like he's like he's too generic, like Southern, lawyer. There's something like off about him, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, and he's my best friend.
Yeah.
In
Your
hindsight
father
now,
was
I'm like,
my best friend.
in hindsight, like, oh yeah, it was so obvious. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh, and then it made sense. I'm like, oh, of course, yeah, that's like typical, like trope that somebody's in on it, double crossing them. I sort of saw coming with Ricardo though. Like, I mean, so
Oh,
Sarah was
yeah.
basically like, I mean, she was definitely flirting with him.
Yes.
Like at that
Oh,
bar,
yeah.
I was like,
And
oh,
she's the one that's married. Mhm.
right,
Right.
right,
Oh, not a happy marriage though.
Right.
right. But he seemed nice enough at first, but I was like, there's got to be more to this. So he's probably he's got to be involved somehow. So I sort of saw it coming. I don't have it on my notes,
The
but basically,
statue's
like,
gone.
they're both dead at the end for
Yeah.
nothing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They died
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yep.
Yep.
Ricardo got shot, and the other one, and Mr. Wells was, I guess,
Yeah.
Had rocks
trampled
land
by
on him.
rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Crumpled.
Yeah. So we're kind of going through it quickly, just because we're having issues again, like we did last time.
But the plot wasn't that complicated either, so it's not like
Yeah,
we're skipping over a lot of stuff.
So I guess, because this is going to be the big thing, obviously, that I'm sure the trolls are going to come out talking about this scene. But I guess let's talk about that. Like you said, Brian, it was like basically like 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Where, because we had hints beforehand that they kept calling them Dina, and they said it's Dean. Get it right, Dean.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think, you don't really think much of it until she. So what happened? She got injured. Was that it? The cave-in happened or something?
Yeah.
A
And
rock
then-
fell
shirt was
on her.
ripped.
And so
Yeah.
they thought that they were injured, and then
Right.
they take off everything and see the binding around there.
I like Ben's speech. I thought that was really, really moving. And I like the fact that Mason reacted to Ben's speech. And Ben was obviously speaking directly to Mason in a way too. And I thought
Right.
I thought that was really good too, because it was humanizing it by saying, I know somebody else who's like this, and this is how they are.
At the
And
finishing school.
right.
Yeah.
Finishing school.
Finishing school.
In 1953.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have non-binary friends, and I actually my nibbling, my like best friend's kid is non-binary also. So I felt that like really hit me in the feels in a good way. So I thought that was really well written, and
Cool.
I thought it was a good way of couching it all, because there are people who don't understand that, as
Yeah.
you were saying earlier, Brian, that it is different. I mean,
Yeah.
non-binary people are generally tend to be put in the same group as like transgender people. They consider themselves transgender, but it's still a different kettle of fish, as it were. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
they even go as far as to use the term transmasculine in the episode?
yeah, I
Like,
don't
thought
remember.
I thought I heard them say that. So I was like, oh wow, like that's an actual, term that we use now. They wouldn't have used in 53, but
Oh no, I didn't hear that. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. I'll have to go back and see.
Yeah.
Well, when Dean says, when I wear this, I feel more like myself. I'm not really one or the other. I'm just Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
she puts on the coat, and Ben says, you look badass. I don't think that term was actually
No,
back
No,
in
but-
1953.
No, but Ben knows it, right?
Yeah, Ben would know it. Yeah.
Ben
Ben
said
would
it.
Yeah,
know
they
it.
would have said what?
Yeah,
What
but-
does that
but
mean?
They should have
Not-
said, huh.
what? Yeah,
Yeah.
And that she said, I don't want to be ma'am or sir. And then Ben brings up they, them.
Mhm.
Non-binary. 2 possibilities, so we need more possibilities. So that's the non-binary. But it's not only that. It's more than that.
Right. And Ian was watching this all in the control room.
And
Well
hello,
done, Ben. I did get a little teary-eyed, yes, watching
Yeah,
that.
you
Yeah.
missed what I was saying before, but I thought I had said that that was a great speech by Ben, and Ian's reaction to it really moved me because I have non-binary friends and family,
Yeah.
and so it just like really was like, yes, this is good.
Yeah. So I see what you were saying before about how you felt it kind of took you out of the moment a little bit. So I mean, I see it, but at the same point, it's like we talked about it for 2 minutes, we explained it, and we moved on.
Yeah,
Which I think is the best way to handle it too, because it comes up in conversation, and you don't dwell on it, and that's how you normalize this stuff. I think it's like, yeah, this is how it is, and we continue on with the story. Like I think that is the best way to handle it. So I was a little pleasantly surprised by that, because Let Them Play was very in your face.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I had issues with it. So, yeah. So again, people, you're leaving your comments. Be nice. No trolls are allowed here.
Oh, they're gonna come out anyway.
I know, but we all need to respect. Whatever. I know it's sometimes it's like a futile thing to say, but anyway.
One of the things that I think it was Ben said, "You will never be alone where family and family is for life." I think that was one of the things that kind of hit Addison. Maybe one of the first things that hit Addison. And then when they get in the church and they find out that Mary is Guadalupe, and she has a four-petaled flower on the wall. So they had already turned the key once, and they had to turn it 3 more times. And they said, "May this treasure bring me a future. May this treasure help me find my place." And then Ben, I don't know if he's looking at Addison or if he is looking, he's looking up as he says it. He says, "And may this treasure always keep us together." And those were the 4 turns. And I think that was the key. May this always keep us together. That really nailed Addison. Oh, what am I doing?
Right.
And I think that's why she changed her mind, because Ben was talking to her, because he was looking up at her.
Right. Yeah.
So that brings the Ben Addison turmoil back into play.
Yep.
Which brings up the 5
the things that we were talking about before.
themes of this show.
Yeah. Well, I'll jump ahead to that just because she changed her mind. She says she needs time, and I think we called this a few episodes back that Tom was going to be, his heart was going to be broken.
Yeah.
I just we
And
called
it
it.
is.
We called it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I wasn't in on those conversations, but it's been telegraphing. It's like it didn't feel like he was going to stay forever, and the only good thing is that they at least established that he was a good guy, that he wasn't, a villain, he wasn't this or that, but at least as far as we know on screen. But yeah, it was not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna like turn on them or anything. I don't think anything like that. But
no, he's still the Project Leap liaison.
Yeah, it's just trying to figure out where they're going with him. I don't know. He is kind of like the wild card in this whole thing. I don't know. Because he's in charge too, and I don't think he's going to be pretty pissed off too. Like just like with Magic, when he finds out everything is going on, he's like, "What did I get myself into here?" Like, I don't know.
Yeah, now that he's not on Addison's side per se, he doesn't have the reason to save her ass. He can do whatever he thinks is right, not what he thinks he should do.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, definitely. The other thing that stands out to me is, we were theorizing on how Ben could try to warn Hannah, because we didn't see her in this episode, and we're wondering how this was going to be out of sequence and everything. And sure enough,
he pulls a perfect quantum leap moment.
Yes.
Back to the Future.
Yes.
And everything.
It's a trope,
he
but it works.
writes a letter to Hannah to tell her about Josh's health. And he has his sister hold on it until May 1st of 1970. And you can't ever ask me about it again.
Oh, May 1st. Yeah, May.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, will it even work though? I mean, that's almost 20 years. She could lose it. She could forget about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I wondered the same, Brian.
She's not the post office.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, she might not be around in 20 years. You know, she could move house. She could lose it. Anything can happen.
Well, it's got 3 episodes left, so
Right.
Yeah, they're gonna explain it. I'm sure they're gonna explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how they're gonna like work it. Where, you know, considering if she's in modern day, she's gonna be like 80 something years old. So
I think she's older. I think she could be like 100 or something. That's what
Right,
everybody's
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
So even if they bring back, are they now going to live happily ever after?
Could be like Rose on the Titanic, right?
Yep.
I've seen that. I've seen that posted too.
Yeah, I think I did in Facebook also. That
Probably
that whole storyline is just not sitting well with me in general. But that's a whole nother conversation, I think.
I think that the real interesting aspect of the father finding the treasure and putting it in the house for them, and then saying the real treasure is at home with family, and then they open it up and all these jewels are falling out, and it's like, okay, so they're instant millionaires. And then he leaps out, and there's no leap out.
I know.
Yeah,
I want to strangle somebody. I know.
Yeah, it's like it seems like the new series does that a lot, though. That we don't get the kind of resolution or what happened to these people or anything, and it drives me crazy.
We said that in our last one. Or I said it that I think this season especially they've done it more where we haven't seen it than we've actually seen a leap into the next episode. Like they did it a lot more last season. It drives me nuts. It really does. Getting further and further away from, they're just being their own thing.
So when Gideon comes into Project Quantum Leap, Rachel comes in and then Gideon comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the security?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jen's standing right there and doing nothing.
He's like, "Hi, Jen. How you doing?" Like he knows her.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy too. I mean, they did say he, has the NSA in their pocket and all this stuff, so maybe he could get in. But how did Rachel get in? I mean, I guess maybe she came with him or something like that happened. But she came in there before, and it doesn't seem like anybody's batting an eye. If I bring my girlfriend into a top secret time travel project, somebody's probably going to stop her.
Yeah, it's a top secret project. Why are they just letting these people walk in without proper clearance?
Maybe she got clearance from Ian because she was the one that was fixing the chip for Ziggy.
Yeah, but that was a while back. She shouldn't still have the clearance.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I can see security letting her pass because of that.
I guess showing security let them in would be another 10, 15 seconds, and they just don't have it. So, I get it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that basically is the big reveal of the, I guess we're calling him the big bad of the season, right? Gideon Rydge.
I wonder if his shoes have any kind of Easter egg in them. It was just odd that they showed his different type of shoes.
Yeah,
well, we got that whole slow reveal up to his face, so I don't know if it was just they wanted to be dun dun dun. I'd actually forgotten he was in the episode because his name was in the opening credits, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's where he is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgotten about him.
James Frain, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he has been in so many things. I saw him. I'm like, oh, he's good.
And
I like
he
this
is the
guy.
perfect
I
bad
He's
guy.
an
like this
amazing
actor.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I first saw him in Invasion. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It had one season. It was on ABC.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Oh
You
wait, was
saw
that
it?
that set in
Uh-huh.
like the Florida Keys and stuff
Yeah,
initially?
yeah,
Okay,
yep,
yeah, I did.
yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I ever saw him. I probably around the same time I saw him in 24. He's currently, or is it currently? I don't know. I saw him as Sarek in Star Trek Discovery, and I guess
Yeah.
in Brave New Worlds. I haven't really watched Brave New Worlds yet, but yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I
He's
had mentioned
great.
in the notes the first time I saw him was in The Tudors, where he played
Mhm.
James Cromwell, who was Henry VIII's basically his sidekick. He was the guy that dealt with a lot of things, including getting Anne Boleyn in, Anne Boleyn out,
Yeah.
and he was like a really good, like morally gray villain, without like chewing the scenery, but not. So
Mhm.
he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to see where that goes now. You know,
Even
Yeah.
though we only got 3 episodes.
I know.
Yeah.
Unless they continue him into the next season, if there's another season.
Right,
Probably,
fingers
I'm sure there
crossed.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that probably will be.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I believe it was Brian that said in a post that every letter that somebody that the station gets is like 20,000 represents 20,000 people.
Yeah,
Is that
years
right?
ago they said kind of the same thing, and I was
Mhm.
talking to Hayden McQueenie from the Quantum Leap podcast, and he said it again. So yeah, that kind of thing should still be true.
Yeah. It's probably a little premature. I think everybody's I think they were going by a stray comment that Caitlin Bassett said about bittersweet ending to the season, and people ran with that. I don't think
Yeah,
we have
well,
anything to
she
worry
kind
about
of
as much.
she kind of added that writing letters would help, and
Right,
it
right.
won't hurt.
There's nothing
So,
wrong with doing it, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're
absolutely.
in danger anyway.
You never know until it's
It
almost
happens.
too late. So
It's
good
been
to-
pointed out that the sets, they didn't take down the sets or anything, so that's a good sign. Because
Yeah.
if the show was done, they would dismantle the sets. I did want to
That
mention
means Ziggy goes away again.
oh god. I did want to mention I because if Lost taught me anything is that names mean something. So I looked up I was just curious what the Gideon name meant. I guess I could say it here. I found this on thebump.com. I guess it's like a baby name site. Gideon is a gender neutral name of Hebrew origin that embodies the potency of will. Translated as hewer or feller, Gideon's most popular meaning is one who cuts down. I find that interesting.
Well, he was already cutting down Ian.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
oh, it's
already
good to see you again.
Yeah, I know. Already inspiring images of great strength and ferocity, Gideon is further emboldened by its roots in the Hebrew Gideon, which means great warrior. Yeah, I'm not going to go into this whole thing, but I found there's something to that name. It's such a you don't hear that name very often.
No.
It is kind of biblical.
So, if Gideon's the bad guy and Ben is the good guy and he's less in time, is it going to be magic that puts him in his place?
I don't know. I do suspect though that I guess Jeffrey maybe is going to have something to do with it. It's just not the way we thought it was, but I think people did the math. Jeffrey would be like 60 now or something, Hannah's son. So maybe he's going to come to their rescue. Everything that Ben's doing, I'm guessing this is where it's going, that everything that Ben has done, meeting with Hannah, this is all going to help solve the problem in the present day. That's what I'm thinking. It's
See,
how else are they doing it?
I was worried about when they showed the beginning sequence, and I think I said this to you guys in a text. They showed everything about the chip, and then they showed Hannah and Josh. Unless they were just talking about
the previously on bit, yeah.
Yeah, how does that coincide with the leap other than talking about the letter, and
It has to all connect somehow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
In the
else has to
episode,
happen.
she mentioned, Ben mentioned, something about saving Josh, and that's when Addison says, the accelerator doesn't let us choose or whatever. So I guess that's probably why they threw it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the accelerator
Why didn't
takes
you tell
care
me?
of the
Let us choose
leaps.
who we save.
Yeah, because
And
the accelerator has sentience.
I know we've complained about this already in previous podcasts, but the GTFW has suddenly become the accelerator. No other option. It's got to be the accelerator.
Right.
And it just came out one episode and they ran with it. There was no lead up to it. There was no hints. They just started all of a sudden saying the accelerator's controlling stuff. Well, is that Ziggy? Is that some other AI?
So they're saying that Ziggy is the artificial intelligence that is putting Ben wherever he needs to be?
Yeah.
Deborah Pratt sort of hinted about that in some interview on one of the podcasts, that maybe this was all Ziggy's doing. Like, even when Sam was leaping, she kind of hinted that maybe it's all Ziggy doing it. I don't know. Jan, you have in your notes, you said something else about Gideon's name?
Just that it reminded me also of Gideon's Bible, because there was an evangelistic group. They're basically a big international evangelical group that puts all the Bibles in all the different places. So I kind of thought of, like, so not global. What's the word I'm trying to say here? Not global domination, but just the fact that, like, global reach. So it might be something where he's just like an Elon Musk or somebody like that, where he's got this kind of global reach and can touch everything, have his finger in everything.
They did say that he's got his hands in everything, because of course he does, because we need him to be somebody that's almost untouchable.
Yeah.
We should have known that he would have his hand in it. Yeah.
So do we know the synopsis for the next week's episode?
Yes.
We do.
Brian?
I don't have it up. Yeah, you'd have to look it up.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here
we go. Hold on one second. Next week is called The Outsider, directed by Deborah Pratt. It takes place in the 1980s. And the synopsis is: an anonymous source sends Ben and an experienced local Denver TV journalist on the trail of a dangerous conspiracy as they pursue the scoop of a lifetime in the early 80s. There's trouble at HQ when Ian's past decisions come back to haunt the team.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dum, dum, dum.
So how old would Hannah be in the early 80s?
And will she look the way how old she's supposed to look?
60-ish, probably, I guess.
Well, how old was she when we first met her? I mean, I've kind of lost, like,
18?
her actual.
I think
All right,
she's
so
like 18.
Early 20, somewhere in there.
And what year was that? 1949.
49.
Yeah. So figure 30. Yeah. So she's got to be like 50, 60.
Is she going to look it? Probably not.
No. Is she going to be in the episode? That's the question.
I'm assuming she probably will. If it's in the 80s, like,
I would say so.
I would say she's probably going to be in it. Yeah. It's just,
It'll be
her son should be a teenager. So.
All right. So I think we've said pretty much most of what we wanted to say about the episode. I think if you guys want to have anything else you want to add.
I have a prediction. I predict that Jeffrey will be some part of the next leap, either this next leap or the next leap afterwards.
Right. Okay.
That he will have made something with Hannah to help the project in some way, shape, or form.
Yep. Part of my prediction actually is that that strange code that they found, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, that they couldn't interpret, is connected somehow to Hannah and or her son too. And that, this whole, we're going to be able to bring Ben home. The question is, when Ben gets home, will Hannah even be on this planet to meet him? And, will she be 100 years old, or as we were discussing before? But I think that's, I agree with you, MJ. I think that's definitely connected.
From this DARPA, is it DARPA project? DARPA?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my prediction.
I didn't mention it the last time, but it was one of the things I was thinking about was how do we think the season's going to end, because they don't know for certain if they're getting a third season. Will Ben actually come home, and then as a way to wrap up the show if it doesn't come back? I mean, they're not going to end it on a cliffhanger.
It was interesting because Caitlin, there's an interview with her, I think it's with TV Line, where she was talking about how however the season's going to end, it's going to completely blow things away again, and season 3 is going to be entirely different than this season or the first season.
Right.
She was kind of likening it to the end of first season and how that changed things this year. So either it's going to be, if they know that they're not coming back, then they'll definitely won't be a cliffhanger, but it depends on whether they think there's a chance. So we might get a cliffhanger again, or something that at least could be played with when we get out of here.
Yeah. Just something I thought about. Yeah.
I just hope that they don't do exactly what they did with the original. Song never makes it back home. I could.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Ben's son never returned home. It'll be a letter missing.
Yeah.
I was always wondering if, because of the fact that Addison was originally supposed to be the leaper, that they would suddenly swap places, kind of like they did in the original series for one episode, but maybe for at least part of the season, where suddenly Ben will be home, but Addison or somebody else will be in Ben's place.
Yeah. All right, Brian, your say what?
Yeah. Okay. I already talked about the rock dropping and the height. Obviously very different than what we saw there. With the Ben acts as if Addison or somebody at the project was responsible for him leaping out before he could save Josh. But the leaps have always been like that. I don't understand why he thought it would be so different that time. That was a little odd. Let's see what else we got.
I have one.
The distance they cross the map in the little montage, Indiana Jones style, seemed to be quite a long way, but apparently they all did it on foot. So I'm wondering why they didn't, rent a burro or a horse or something to do that. Let's see. A big one that I caught was, Ben holds up the rock to drop it in the well, and the satchel is on his right shoulder. And then suddenly the camera angle changes to look up at them from inside the well as he drops it, and the satchel is no longer on his shoulder. So a little editing thing there. And, Addison not walking through the rock wall, that was a glaring thing there. And she finally finds him a way out, but she doesn't walk through anything. She kind of walks around a rock to say, hey, I found a way out. She's a hologram.
Okay, I have two now.
Yeah, I think I have one also. So
yeah, the dam, they say it's a mile from the church, but the water gets there pretty quick. So
and there's not a lot of it.
No.
When Ben's writing the letter, you can see him just wildly scribbling, and no way he's writing anything. That was kind of bad. And then we already talked about Gideon, getting in there so easily. But anyway. There we go. That's mine.
I know Mike had one.
Oh,
what was yours, Mike?
The thing that bugged me was Dean says to Sarah, "Okay, watch the satchel. Make sure the satchel doesn't go anywhere." If it was so damn important, why didn't Dean hang on to the satchel herself? I mean, yes, it was necessary to drive the plot so that Ricardo Montalban or whatever his name was would steal the map. But if it was so important and crucial, why leave it on the bar where anyone could take it?
Right.
Right.
So Brian going through his made me think of the other one. I had two. The first one was when they first get up to the well and they're talking about the well. And then Dean says, "Oh, look, here's a rope." Okay, one, it's magically there. And they didn't even test it to see if it was going to be strong enough to, let him down. Or even if it was long enough to let him down. Like you said, Brian, it was a 3-second drop. A 20, whatever. And the other one was when Addison goes around the rock. she says, Ben says, "Oh, I felt a breeze." Okay, so there had to be at least a good wind up above for them to actually feel this breeze, and the wind's barely moving the leaves.
But wasn't it
So
something about how they learned sensitivity at finishing school? Wasn't that the line though?
Yeah, I
I
think
know
so. Yeah.
Sarah said, "I'm the one that has the sensitive skin."
Yeah.
Right.
I think that was Ben's way of saying, excusing how he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the
Yeah.
way. That wasn't a mistake. That was Ben
Oh.
covering for his.
I know, but still, if they could have had a fan up top blowing to show the wind, so that, because if I would have been there and got up front, wow, I don't know how you could have felt the breeze. There's not really any wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't know if I'm doing this right, so if I'm not, feel free to stop me. But when Sarah made her grand declaration at the end and said, "Well, I think I'm getting a divorce now." This is 1953, and in 1953, it was incredibly hard, especially for women, to get divorced. You needed to be able to prove the marriage wasn't consummated, that there was like serious abuse, serious abandonment, and a couple other things. I mean, my family friends had to say they'd never consummated, or that one of them wanted children, the other one didn't know before they got married in order to get an amicable divorce. So it's just seemed like it was like 1980s or 1990s mentality about somebody getting a divorce, especially a woman back in those days. And it was a state by state thing, and they were in Texas, and I don't even know what the Texas rulings were, but I would guess they were probably more conservative, unless she was going to say, "I'm running to Reno and getting a quickie divorce," which you could do too. It was that one just really yeah, that
It's
kind of
more
got
conservative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Texas.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right. Well, I guess we're done with those. The what ifs. I mean the what ifs.
Say what?
Say
Say
what?
what?
The what
Say what?
ifs.
What if? I'm thinking of something else. So the only thing I can think of is we always try to call out the songs, the featured songs. What was I don't even know what it was, but it was
Brian and Mike know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it was 2 Solo 2. And I just lost it. Oh, 2 Solo 2 by Pedro Infante was what. Well, that's what Soundhound told me it was anyway. But it was
Is that when they were in the cantina?
Yes. Yeah,
I think
when
so,
they
yeah.
arrived at Dos Estrellas. It was the only song, but again, it was a great score in this episode. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says it translates to you only you. That's the translation of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel James Chan's stuff, I really like what he does. He changes it slightly or to match the episode, and I've talked to him a couple times online, and he doesn't have a lot of video, but he posted one of a previous episode with a violinist that was just beautiful, and it's on the YouTube channel too. He said I can do that. But yeah, I love his scores for this.
Yeah, I've in the past
well.
I haven't always noticed the score too much, but sometimes in instances like this, yeah, when it's going with the genre thing, it does sound really good. So, but sometimes project stuff, it just sounds very generic, like anything you'd see in a procedural show. So that's maybe my biggest thing, but I guess it's because it's a procedural part of the show, I guess.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. We wanted to try to start reading some feedback and comments section that people leave. Maybe we'll try to do that the next time. There have been some comments, some people that we even know from the Al's Place message boards. So some of them have left comments. Maybe next time we'll try to read those. So we said it before. The next episode is The Outsider, which is directed by Deborah Pratt again. They are going to do their dedication to Matt Dale. At least that's what Deborah told you, Brian.
Right.
So we're
Very
going by
nice.
that. So hopefully we are going to try to get something going with that. I'm not going to say yet. So thank you, Jan, for joining us for this, despite the issues we're having.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Tell everybody again where they can find you, the best place to contact you.
Best place probably Facebook under my name. It's Jan Fennick, FENNICK, or on Instagram I'm total TOTAL _ Janarchy. That's like anarchy with a J in front of it. And that's the best places, I guess.
Okay, that sounds
It was
good.
nice
All right.
to meet you, Jan.
Yes,
Nice
very
meeting
nice,
everybody
Jan.
here.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was great.
Thanks
Hopefully
for
we
being
can do
on.
this again sometime. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
I was going to
everybody.
say, please have me again if you want. I'm more than happy to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, everybody, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'm Damon.
Yeah,
Everybody
I'm
want to?
Mike.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Anyone
Come on,
else?
guys. Okay.
I'm Brian
Okay.
from Owl's Place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm MJ from the Virtual Seasons, Quantum Leap, the Virtual Seasons,
And
over at Al's Place.
yeah. And Jan, thank you all. Yeah. Okay, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
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 Bye.